What is up, everybody? Good morning. This is Andrew with the Medellin Buzz. I got my coffee going. It is 11 a.m. here in Medellin, Colombia. And it stopped raining. It rained literally almost all day yesterday, which is kind of unusual. Usually when it rains here, it'll rain for a few minutes, really, like maybe even an hour, and then it'll go away. But yesterday it just kept raining and raining. Last night, pretty much all night last night. But it was, this is good. It was good. A Zombie, what's good, Zombie? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day today. All right, yeah. So I love this song. There's free songs on what do you call it? There's free songs on YouTube that are copyright free, so I'm able to like make a playlist. They're free songs and they're copyright free, so I'm able to play them on the stream, and it's not gonna ruin monetization. All right, so I'm gonna record this. Actually, I didn't do that last time, and I had to rip the recording from YouTube, and the quality wasn't good. That's why my last video was kind of blurry-ish. But now I'm recording locally here, so it should be a better quality video. I make a video out of these lives and obviously shorts and stuff. What's up, Mr. Way Better? How's it going? I'm good. You got snow, but it's nice out? Nice. I kind of miss cold winters. That's one of the things about Medellin, is that it's not cold here ever. Unless if you go up in the hills, but it's still never that cold. Oh man, I love this coffee. I got this coffee from Hija Mia. It's the best coffee, yeah. So it is November 3rd, 2023. This is the Medellin Buzz. I go live every single Friday at 11 a.m. talking about a different topic, talking about different topics that go more in depth than just the superficial things. Today's topic is the top things that you need to know about moving to Medellin or living in Medellin. And they're things that you really don't realize until you actually move here and are living here. We'll go over some of the superficial stuff just to go over it. I've got a couple lists that I've pulled from the internet and go over some of the things that most people know, but maybe go a little bit more in depth. And then I'll go over like my top 3 things that I think a lot of people don't ever think about until they actually live here for a while. And then they're like, shit, I didn't realize that this is the way it was, or this is what the outcome was going to be. I've been here, like most of you know, for 13 years, since 2010. And a lot of things have happened since then. What's up, Rel? How's it going? What's up from Atlanta? How you doing? Atlanta in the house. Hot Shot You, what's good? Hey, Andrew, I hope all is well. Save me a stool at the Sports Pie. I'm on my way. Tom King, what's good, Mr. Tom King? Oh, another good news. I got my cast off. Look at that. That's kind of gross. I don't know if you could see that, but it's got a big gash where they did the surgery, and then the 2 pins were in there. To be honest, I didn't know how big these pins were until they pulled them out. The pin was like that big. They like literally pulled it out, and I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, so it's good. I'm able to move them now. I need to do a lot of therapy. The good thing is that the doctor said that therapy involved, like, I'm like, can I play video games? He's like, yeah, that's like a great way of therapy for you. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be playing Fortnite. Fortnite just had a big update, so I'm going to be playing that all weekend. Yeah, so today's topic are the things that you should know about Medellin when living here before you make the move. Things that you're not going to know until you actually live here. But before we get to like the top 3, which I'll do later on, which are like the ones that I thought about deeply, I'm like, what is it that I've realized here in Medellin for a lot of people that come down here that maybe isn't true, or that something that they didn't think about that came true while they lived here after a year, after 2 years, etc. And it involves people leaving here or people staying here even longer. So it just depends on you, what your expectations are. But I'm going to go over that. Mr. Christian, what's up from San Diego? How's it going? San Diego in the house. I'm from Orange County. Well, I grew up in Orange County. San Diego's an amazing area. I used to love going to the gas lamp district. Even back in the day, it was awesome. Now I hear that the gas lamp district is even more amazing than it ever was, with the microbrews, the restaurants, the nightlife, etc. All right, so before we get into like the important reasons why, or not reasons, but things that you should know about Medellin, I'll go over some of the kind of like the well-known things that you should know about Medellin. I got this list off the internet, and it has some pretty good stuff. For example, like number one, and you'll know this once you're here. A lot of people don't know it until they get here. One of the things that this list says that you should know is that the water is potable here. I didn't even know that, because when I first got here, I got to Bogota back in 2010. I was deported from the United States. I was dropped off in Bogota with like no money and just a suitcase of clothes. And I stayed at a cousin's house, a very modest apartment with her husband and 2 kids. And in Bogota, you can't drink the water. It's not potable. So we would drink, bottled water, or they would boil the water before they drank it. And I actually got sick when I first got there because I didn't know that, and I was drinking the water. So in many parts of the country, water is not potable. I think in most parts of Colombia, water is not potable. You can't drink it. But in Medellin, you could just drink water out of the faucet and you're fine, which I think is something that most people don't think about. And for me, it was something that I didn't even know. When I got to Medellin, I started buying, because I spent 6 months in Bogota, and then I moved where I came down to visit Medellin. And I was here for at least a couple months drinking bottled water. And when I realized that you can actually drink the water out of the faucet, which is crazy. Luke, what's up, Luke? How you doing? Luke watching from Costa Rica. Nice. Hope you guys are all having a great Friday morning. It is Friday. It's 11:07 a.m. here in Medellin, Colombia. Another thing that this list says that you should be aware of or know about Medellin, and most of you that have been here already know this, but the fruit in Medellin is amazing. Like, you can find so much fruit here, and it's so much cheaper than the United States. And one thing that I noticed about the fruit here is that it's smaller than the United States. And I was like, man, this goes to show how much the U.S. pumps up their food. Like, everything here is smaller. The steaks, the chicken, the fruit, the vegetables, they are smaller because I think they are more organic, or at least they have less maybe steroids or hormones pumped into the food here. So it's smaller. And for example, apples are like tiny here compared to like the giant red apples that you get in the United States. But here you can find variations of different, or you could find much more fruit than in the United States. In the United States, you can't find soursop, for example. You can get the pulp, but here it's called guanábana, passion fruit, things like that aren't able to be, what do you call it? You can't really ship because they go bad real quick. You can't find in the U.S. or in other countries, but here you can find them fresh, but they do go bad for real quick. But I think that's, for me, fruit is a big thing because I am vegan. I literally eat fruit every single day. Jay Nolan says La Jugosa and Salud Pan serve up the fruit bowls. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. Acai here, like, you can actually get the berries here. In the United States, I think it's hard to get the berries, or any country, because it's just, you can't really ship them unless if they're completely frozen or it's just the pulp. Another thing, this one was funny. I thought it was funny on this list that I found. So one of the things to know about Medellin is you don't flush the toilet paper down in the toilet, especially in older buildings or older restaurants that have smaller toilets, because the pipes are smaller, so that gets clogged a lot easier. And on top of that, water pressure is an issue in Colombia. If you've ever been in any city in Colombia, and even in Medellin, especially in an older building, you'll notice that the water pressure is horrible. Even in my building, I live on the 5th floor, and we've had to do so much for like our Airbnb rentals in order to, it's the pressure, you can get the pressure to come out okay, but the problem is the consistency. So for example, if you've got like a water heater, the water will be hot for like a minute or two, and then it starts getting colder and colder, and then you got to return it on. It's just so hard, and the problem is the water pressure, and it's the same thing for the toilets. But clogging the toilets here, when I first got here, can't imagine. I can't tell you how many toilets I've clogged in here, and it's because I was flushing toilet paper down there. So now you have to time your toilet paper. If you are flushing it down, you got to time it with you can't just like wipe your ass and keep putting paper in there and hope that it's gonna drop. It's not. So that's a huge thing. So another thing to know about Medellin, a lot of people think that when they come to here that the internet's going to be an issue, but I think Medellin has probably the best infrastructure for internet in Colombia. I've been all around Colombia, and here I've had, you can get up to 500 megabytes download and upload. You can now get 1,000, but I don't know how stable that is. I've never used it, but I've used 500 and 300, and it's completely stable. So the internet in Colombia is absolutely better than, or at least in Medellin, better than most of the places I've been to. In Bogota, you can also find great internet in certain areas, but in Medellin, for the most part, most people have great internet. So that's the big. It's big for me because I work online and I do these streams. I also stream video games, so I need like consistent, solid internet every single day. And I've been able to find it. I've gone through like 3 providers, and Tigo has been the best so far. I guess it's the best of the worst, because I guess the lesser of all evils, because they're all terrible as far as like customer service goes. But Tigo has been the more responsive and more responsible out of all of them. Another thing that I've found. Hold on, let me open up Facebook, because I am streaming on Facebook too, and I could miss those comments. I gotta turn that on, or at least open it. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Oh yeah. Jose, ¿qué más? Jose, ¿cómo estás? Jose on Facebook. All right, so so here are some of the more in-depth things that I've learned about Medellin after living here for so long and seeing people come here and be here long term, and then either turn away or they make this their home. So number 3 is security and safety. In Medellin is not as safe as the United States. As much as people want to argue that like, oh, you can be in Southside Chicago, or you can be in Atlanta, and some places in Atlanta, or you can be in some places in Florida or in California and get robbed, get mugged, get killed. Oh, you have active shooters out there and you can be killed at any point. The fact of the matter is that the United States is way safer than Medellin. That's a given. There's no argument in my mind. I've lived in both countries. I lived in the United States for 26 years. I've lived here for 13 years. And I live in the best neighborhood in Medellin, El Poblado. And I can tell you that it doesn't compare to any of the safe neighborhoods in the U.S. In the U.S., not only is safety an issue, not only do you have to always have safety on the back of your mind, whether you're carrying a cell phone, like I have an iPhone 14, or whether you are going to be wearing your expensive watch or an expensive chain, it's always on the back of your mind. So what's the response to that? It's not to wear it. I've never had that issue in the United States in any of the safe neighborhoods that I lived in, where I couldn't walk out, and go jogging with my expensive watch or gold chain on. Here in Medellin, in El Poblado even, which is like the Beverly Hills of Medellin, you have that issue. It's not recommended that if you've got a Rolex on, or if you got an expensive watch other than a Rolex, or a gold chain, or an expensive phone, that you go out running on the street showing it off, because you can be. And it's not like you're going to get robbed right away, because people aren't just waiting to rob you. It's that people are going to be watching you, and then if you're staying here long term, even if it's not, for years, let's say you're here for a month and you go out on the street wearing a Rolex, wearing an expensive chain, and you frequent the same street, and then you go back the next day, and then you go back the next day. People are watching you, especially the people that work on the street, like the guy that helps park the cars, the prostitutes on Calle 10, the guys that are selling chiclets, the guy that's selling the fruit on the corner. Those guys they don't live in El Poblado. They live in very low-income neighborhoods, and guess what? They know all of the thieves. So if they can come up quick and say, hey, this he comes out and jogs at 11 a.m. He's got a Rolex on, or he comes to the sports bar he was there last night, and he's here tonight. Come down now, bring a gun, take his shit, and take off. I, I've seen that happen. Literally, I've seen it happen in the bar that I go to. Guys with Rolexes or gold chains that come back the next day and then get robbed. That's a huge factor even in the Beverly Hills of Medellin. So the number three thing to know about Medellin, and very important, is that it's not as safe as the United States. Now, I've been here for 13 years now, and I've never been robbed personally. I've never even been pickpocketed, and I go everywhere. I go to the bar, I do things, but I've seen it happen to other people that are just not aware. They're just not cautious enough. I think just because of the way that I was raised by my Colombian parents in the United States, even though we lived in safe neighborhoods, they were always very actively telling me to never leave my stuff set down because they were traumatized. They lived in Colombia from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then in the 80s, we immigrated. So they've always had safety on the back of their mind, even when we lived in safe neighborhoods because of their PTSD of living in Colombia, their whole life. What's good, Mr. Sam? How's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Sam with the emotes. Let's go. Yeah, G. Nolan says, no dar papaya. Real street smarts is vital in any major city. Yeah, but for example, I used to live in Southern California, and I would go a lot to Los Angeles. And I would go to downtown Los Angeles because we had little stores at swap meets, at flea markets, etc. So we'd have to go to like the garment district, the downtown LA, etc. to buy shit. And I never felt the level of insecurity in that area. And I'm only talking about, Los Angeles because that's where I grew up. The level of insecurity of as I have here in Medellin. For example, the paranoia, and it's a small paranoia for me. It's not like, oh, every day I'm like looking out, but it's something that lives with me. I will never be like 100% like, oh, just walking along my way. If I see two guys on a motorcycle pulling up with helmets on, and they walk off the motorcycle and they're not taking off their helmet, and even if they have a wrappy bag with them, I'm on guard because I know what that can be. It's like those are the things that happen here in Medellin where it puts you on guard. And because I've seen it enough to know that, oh, these two dudes on the motorcycle, they're getting off the motorcycle, but they're not taking their helmets off. Like, what the hell's going on? And I'm on guard. I go into a restaurant. I never sit with my back against the entrance. I go into my bar. I sit at my local bar. I never sit with my back towards the entrance. Just little things like that are now part of my character, part of my personality. I'm sure that if I went to another country, let's say a safe country, like a first world country, I would still act that way and do that because it's a knee-jerk reaction to do that. So yeah, so that's number three. The number three thing to know about living in Medellin, and you'll notice this once you're here, because if you're here for a month, or maybe 2 months, or maybe just weeks, and you stay in El Poblado and you just frequent this area, or you stay in Laureles and you frequent that area and nothing happens to you, you're like, man, Medellin is safe. I don't know what people are talking about. But stay here a couple years, and I guarantee you either you'll be robbed at some point or you'll know people personally that have been robbed. Again, I've been here for 13 years. I've never personally been robbed on the street, never been held up at gunpoint. I do walk out with my laptop to the co-working space, which is like 4 blocks away from me, or so I'll get in an Uber and go to another one. So I do that kind of stuff, but it's never happened to me. But I know many, many people that has happened to. And now you have the whole Scopolamine craze, like where, well, it's not a craze because it's been going on in Colombia for a long time. Colombians scoping not only foreigners, but scoping other Colombians and drugging them to rob them. For example, in Bogota, they're on high alert in El Barrio de Kennedy. Kennedy is like it's like a strato 3, but people are scoping people in that same area and taking them to the house and clearing out their house. There's just literally a report where some lady did that to a guy at just like a corner bar in that neighborhood. She didn't know him. She wasn't a prostitute or anything. She was just another patron. He went to the bathroom. She dropped drugs in his drink, or Scopolamine, I'm assuming, into his drink, into his beer. It was like an Aguila, right? It was just like a corner bar. He drank it, walked with her to his house, which was a couple blocks away. A taxi came up and they cleared, and you could see in the video, in the CCTV, them taking out his TV, taking out electronics, etc., out of his house. So it's not only happening to tourists, but it's been happening to Colombians long before the tourism boom here in Medellin. Now the tourists are getting it because people are figuring out that those people are coming with money, with expensive electronics, and they're easy targets because they're not even aware that this shit can happen to them. That's a big it's a big issue in Colombia. And now that we have, especially in Medellin, and now that we have a new mayor, or we re-elected another mayor that was Federico, or Fico, as they call him, he's more of an Uribista style of like pounding on the law. And when he was when he was the mayor, I did feel that Medellin was safer in his term. And now he's been re-elected. He won by a landslide, like 63% of the votes he got. So I'm assuming that he's going to lock down, and we'll see changes, especially to security, safety, prostitution. Like he hammered on that when he was when it was his term. The street smarts is vital in the major city. Rel says the paranoid survive. Yeah, that's true. AK, what's good, AK? AK watching from Santa Elena. Nice. Opposite of papaya, you need to get in contact with Angel Palma Cars. He is in with all the supercar owners in Las Palmas, and they go to the group drives all their Lambos and Ferraris. Yeah. That's, I mean, when you're that level of wealth, it's like it doesn't even matter. I mean, you might get, like, if a group gets together, and for example, like in rural parts, and they know that you have money, or a family member lives out there, they may get sequestered and kidnapped, just like what's happening to Luis Diaz, who's a multi-million-dollar superstar soccer player on Liverpool that got both his parents kidnapped. They returned his mom, and they didn't return his dad for a long time. I think they returned his dad now. But imagine if that can happen to that guy, what happens to normal people that aren't superstars or in the limelight, but that have money and that have family out here, or kids, and that get sequestered, that we never even hear about in the news. And I hear about this all the time, that people do get kidnapped and people do get held for ransom. The good thing is that for the most part, they don't kill the people. A lot of the times, when this happens in other countries, if they don't get ransom, or even if they do get ransom, they don't want like a surviving witness, so they'll kill the person, which is horrible. But it seems like here they actually return the people. But still, again, there's no comparison to the safety of the United States and the justice system to Medellin. The justice system in Colombia is horrible. In the United States, it's amazing compared to what it is here in Colombia. It's like it's apples and oranges. The justice system almost doesn't even exist. You see a policeman out here, they're pretty much useless. I remember they were pickpocketing people and robbing people at the corner right after COVID. There was, and coming down La 10, coming out of Parquilleras and getting to Avenida Poblado, there were like chiclet guys, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was walking home with the date, and these guys with chiclets were coming up and shoving it in your face and trying to reach in pockets. And I know that's what happens. That's how they rob. They'll shove something in your face, and then the other guy is bumping you, and then the third guy is trying to reach into your pocket. So I literally saw them coming towards us, and I just literally we avoided them. And there was other people coming, and I'm sure a lot of people were robbed. So what I did was I literally went straight to the police station, the little police office in Parque Poblado, and told them, hey, there's guys on the corner robbing people. They're pickpocketing. The guy on his cell phone, a police officer on his cell phone, looked up and he said, okay, didn't do anything about it. And I just walked home, and I watched them do nothing while there were guys pickpocketing at the bottom of the street. Police here are the worst, and it's no comparison. So yeah, number 3, Medellin is not as safe as the United States, but if you've got your wits about you and you take precaution, nothing will ever happen to you it's like me. I've been here 13 years, and I know many other people that have lived here long term, never been robbed, never been held up at gunpoint, never been kidnapped, never been drugged by a Tinder date. That's been my experience. But again, you could be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that can happen here. Sam says, yeah, they go out night drive in Medellin. Would be a great video. I'm assuming that's why they go at night, like 10 of them. Yeah, I mean, when you're at that level of wealth, it's like they probably have security guards and stuff too. If you're driving a Lambo out here, it's like you have enough money to have a security guard, coming with you, right? So they probably don't worry about that like most people would. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know why you would even have a supercar in Medellin. Like, you can't really drive it around anywhere, other than Las Palmas. But the rest of the roads here suck, and you'll ruin your car. Yeah, so that's number 3. The level of security here in Medellin is not as good as any other first world. And we know that if you've been here to Medellin and you've been here an extended period of time, I'm not saying like a couple months, I'm saying like a year or two, you know that safety is an issue, and it has always been an issue in all of Colombia, including Medellin, including the Beverly Hills of Medellin, which is El Poblado. There is a chance that you can still be robbed. But if you're smart and you know how to move out here, nothing will ever happen to you. As long as you don't get caught in the wrong place or wrong time. The good thing about Medellin, though, is that you'll never get killed by a mass murderer or like a mass shooter. You're never going to get killed by a mass shooter here because that just doesn't happen here. And I have a theory about that. Like, it seems like most of the mass shooters in the United States are middle-aged white guys that are frustrated with life. And it seems like that's the kind of life that many men are living. It's Joe Rogan mentioned this in one of his podcasts. It says that most men, and when he says most men, he's probably referring to most men in the United States because he doesn't know what the culture and life is for most men around the world is. So in the United States, most men live in quiet desperation. They're quietly desperate, meaning that, they're not making enough money. They can't afford to give the things that they want to their family if they have a family. They can't get a family because they can't even pick up a woman because of the Me Too movements, because of the whole independent women thing, right? Especially in major cities. That's my theory. I'm not saying that's true. That's just my theory that these men, so there are these incels, like not only are most men going through that in the United States, but then you have the guys that maybe even have more mental issues and dealing with that kind of stress in their life that have easy access to a gun, and then they're going to go shoot up a place because they're frustrated, sexually frustrated, economically frustrated, socially frustrated, and that creates a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. So why doesn't that happen in Colombia? It doesn't happen anywhere in Colombia. I haven't heard of like a mass shooter going up into a mall or a church here in Colombia ever in my 13 years here. Why isn't that happening here? Well, people are sexually active here. It's not hard to find a mate. Gender roles are very defined. If you're a man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. And gender roles are pretty defined, and people are happy with that. It's women want equal rights, but they also want to be the female or the woman in the relationship. That's been my experience here. So guys are able to express their masculinity and also be sensitive if they want to, because Colombians, and I think Latinos as a whole, because you don't hear about mass shootings happening anywhere else in Latin America, even in Mexico, unless if it's a cartel thing. But as far as like a lone shooter shooting up a mall or a restaurant or a church or anything like that, it doesn't really happen, and you don't hear about it that much. And it's because I think culturally, men are more stable in these countries. Even though we have economic problems and poverty rates at over 30%, and infidelity is high, still I think people are more mentally stable. Mental health is more stable in our countries, at least here in Colombia and specifically in Medellin. Mental health is more stable than that of a middle-aged white guy, or I guess middle-aged men in the United States. And that's a terrible thing for them. But I think that's why a lot of people are discovering Latin America. And you have this whole passport bro movement, which I don't agree with everything that they say, but I can see why they want to come down here and stabilize their mental health, find a mate, find someone that can confine to gender roles, to a certain degree. Not like you're trying to control somebody, but I can see why that happens. What's good, Jeffrey? How you doing? Also, it isn't middle-aged men. Okay, so it's usually men. It's not, maybe it's not mostly middle-aged men, but I do find it that it's mostly obviously males going up and shooting up some school or some church or whatever. Yeah, it's young guys. Yeah, I mean, I could see how young guys obviously getting sexually frustrated, socially frustrated, and economically frustrated, seeking out, to explode on something, and having easy access to an AR-15 can do that. But that's just a theory. I'm not saying that's fact. Obviously, I don't know the numbers. I don't know the facts. I just know that in Medellin, at least, it doesn't happen. In the 13 years I've been here, I've never heard of a mass shooting. I've heard of gunfights between gangs, but that's different. What is the common Colombian view towards crypto? It's been some. I've seen some business with crypto logos on their walls. Would it be cool to buy a house using crypto instead of dealing with Colombian banks? I have heard of some people selling their property using crypto, but it's not common. Yeah, most average Colombians will not know what crypto is and how it works, or even have it. It's mostly people that are in the know or in that business, and it's a small percentage. So yeah, I would say that not many businesses or transactions happen with crypto in Colombia. It's mostly cash. Yeah, so Jeffrey says all age groups and races anymore. Yeah, I don't know what the stats are, but that's just my view on it, my feeling. What's up, ABX girl? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day today. Felix, what's good, bro? If you're talking economically frustrated, most Colombians that are poor must be economically frustrated. Yeah, you would think so. Yes, they are economically frustrated. But for some reason, and I don't know, I am Colombian, even poor people are happy. And I think it's because if everyone around you is poor, it's like you find happiness in it. And it seems like for most of Latin America, that is the case. Yeah, they're frustrated, but at the same time, there's like everybody's in this situation with me, whether it's white or black here in Colombia. And I know because our charity Help Colombia deals in these very, very low income neighborhoods, and you see all shades of skin, black, white, whatever. You'll see them all intermingling, and their common denominator is that they're all poor. But for some, they're all happy. It's not like sometimes I watch like Cops on TV, like the show Cops, and they go into like the poor income neighborhoods in the United States, and it seems like people are miserable there, like in the projects or even like trailers, like what you would call trailer trash or whatever. And you see these, and it's like people are. First of all, I don't understand how people are poor in the United States and morbidly obese, and a lot of them are, especially when I watch these cop shows. They go into these neighborhoods. It's like, how the hell are you fat and you're like economically frustrated and poor? Here in Colombia, you go into those neighborhoods, but people aren't angry at each other. They're not angry at life. They're genuinely happy, and I don't know why that happens or how that happens, but I think it's probably because poverty is so much more than in the United States here, that people are maybe just used to it, and they're like, well, we're all in this situation, we might as well be happy. And you'll see people dancing, you'll see people cleaning their house with salsa music on. It's like there's never a dull moment in those neighborhoods, that's for sure. ABX Girl, I was told in part of the new visa clearance, the form asked for mental health status. Mental health status and medical clearance from the. Oh, really? For new visa clearance, you have to be you're asked for mental health status and medical clearance by a doctor. Wow, I did not know that. That's pretty interesting. It's refreshing you and AK do videos like this. Nearly all others just do crime and expat videos or about chicks for views. Oh, and Life of David is normal. Also, yeah, I love Life of David. He's an amazing guy. I love watching his videos. He always has a really good perspective on things, and his outlook is always positive. For example, me, I'm talking about crime and I'm talking about security here in Medellin, and also partly mental health of Colombians. But in general, my outlook is positive. I've always had a positive experience here in Colombia. Like I've said, I've been here 13 years, and I know of people that have been drugged by their Tinder date. I know of Colombians that have been drugged by other Colombians and have gotten their stuff stolen out of their house. I could probably count it on my hands. Out of 13 years, probably 9 or 10 people that I know personally, like have a personal connection. They've told me personally that this has happened to them, but it's not in 13 years to know about 10 of them is not a bad statistic, but it does happen, and you hear it all the time, especially in the groups and stuff. Yeah. What about access to guns? Yeah, in Colombia, it's hard to get a gun. You basically have to get it black market. If you want to get it legally, there's a big legal process. Just like everything else here, there's bureaucracy to get a gun legally here in Colombia. So it's not easy. If a criminal has a gun, it's probably because he got it off the black market. And a lot of the people that do sell those guns are police officers, believe it or not. I've heard this from other police officers that I know here, that there is a lot of corruption in the police. And let's say that they arrest a thief that has a gun. Sometimes they don't document that gun, and then they go resell it on the street for money because, for the most part, cops don't make that much money, and they're always looking for a way to make more money. So that there is a black market for guns. That's what I've heard, not only from other police officers but other Colombians that say this. How do Colombian guys feel about gringos sweeping in and taking a bunch of their girls? First of all, that's not happening. Gringos don't come in here and swoop up a bunch of the girls. There's how many? There's 45 million, almost 50 million Colombians. Let's say 50% of them are women. That's 25 million women. Do you think the 1 million gringos that came in here took 25 million girls, or even a fraction of that? No, it's not happening. So Colombians don't care. They don't care because they know that the gringos really can't. There is really no competition. For example, let me put it this way: gringos that come here to have one night stands, they come here and they leave. And they have one night stands. I know many of them. I have friends that are here also long term that are gringos, and they have one night stands and eventually will settle. But then they leave. It's not like they're staying here and building their own little neighborhood. You know, like little USA. You know, in the United States, people hate on immigrants because they go there and they stay there and they create their own communities, and they don't really assimilate. They try to assimilate to some degree, but they don't really assimilate. Most of the gringos that come and live here, they assimilate. They have to learn Spanish, at least some Spanish. If you're living here more than a year, 2 years, you're learning some Spanish. You're eating like a Colombian. Yeah, there are some new restaurants here that cater to like American taste buds and stuff, but for the most part, in all of Colombia, that's a very, very, very tiny percentage. So when it comes to the whole gringos coming here to sweep up women, it's not happening, first of all. And if it does happen, it's a small percentage. Most Colombians don't care. Most Colombian men are very, very secure. And you'll know this once you come down here. They're secure in their sexuality and their masculinity. So a gringo coming down here and taking a girl doesn't matter because there's thousands of other women in Colombia, in Medellin. That's been my experience, especially with my local Colombian friends. They don't even bat an eye at it. I've never had that conversation of them, or not had that conversation. I've never heard a comment from a local friend, and I've played on multiple basketball teams here with all Colombians. So I have a lot of Colombian friends through my basketball association, and I've never heard them ever say one word about saying, hey, man, these gringos are taking our women. It's never happened. Jeffrey says here, I'm actually here to ask if you have any connections to help me out with info for Bogota. I'm going there in February-ish. Info on Bogota. Is there a YouTube channel that anybody can recommend for Jeffrey for Bogota, or info on Bogota? I only go to Bogota on the weekends. And I have a cousin there, and I usually hang out with my cousin there. We usually hang out in the north, like Zona T, La Zona Rosa, even Chapinero. I'll usually rent an Airbnb. I love renting an Airbnb in La Candelaria, which is downtown. Yeah, that area is super awesome. But you can get anywhere with Uber there as well, and taxis, and the Transmilenio, which is horrible, but you still can get anywhere. But yeah, I don't have like a direct contact there. D Moscow, ABX girl. Not all visas need mental health evaluation. Oh, okay, I don't know about this. This is new to me. Poor nutrition and full sugary canned foods and fast food only. Yeah, so that's the difference here. I think ABX girl from Colombia and the United States is that the cheap food here, the stuff that poor people eat, is definitely way more nutritious and less, I guess, fatty and less sugary than what poor people eat in the United States. And in the United States, a poor person can easily, with food stamps, get a bunch of. First of all, there are no food stamps here in Colombia for poor people. Like, there's no government aid. It's very little if there is. It's very, very, even during the pandemic. That's why we formed Help Colombia. We formed it in the pandemic because we knew that there were these communities that weren't getting anything. They would get what they got. The one of the neighborhoods that we help, which is called Moravia, that out of the whole pandemic, they had one time the government came and gave out 500, what do you call it, groceries, 500 bags of groceries to 500 households. In Moravia, there's more than 1,000 households. So we went in there, gathered money, and started dispersing groceries to all of the neighborhood. We fed thousands of people there. But I know that the government doesn't help. But in the United States, you have easy access to bad food, and sugary food is common there. Here in Colombia, sugar, people love sugar, but it's not like a thing that you. It's not like you're drinking Coca-Cola or sodas every single day, because first of all, most poor people can't afford to buy that every single day. They're either drinking water, making soups at home, making rice, making beans, eating grains that are super cheap to buy by the kilo, etc. Victor says, would appreciate if you and AK make a collaboration with digital nomads based in Colombia. I am considering shortly for my career. Well, yeah, I mean, digital nomads here it's become a trend to come to Medellin, or it's becoming a trend. I don't think it's a full trend yet worldwide, but a lot of digital nomads do come down here because Colombia does offer the digital nomad visa, usually for about a year. They advertise 2 years, but I haven't heard anybody that gets it for 2 years. Most people get it for a year. You only have to show proof of income equivalent to, I think it's $800 per month. So for most people, it's pretty easy to show that and get that visa here and then stay here for a year, and then they move on. And that's what it's meant for. It's for people that are just passing through. It's not for long-term people that aspire to be here for long-term, because it doesn't help with getting a longer-term like residency or anything. But yeah, a lot of people do come down here. Internet infrastructure, like I was saying earlier, Victor, is great here. Like I said, I'm streaming here, and I stream almost every day, especially video games. I have a Twitch channel, YouTube Live, and I play Fortnite every single day. I do what do you call it? And I stream every single day. And my internet here is 150 megabytes download speed and 150 upload. Never had any latency issues. I mean, very little. I've had my in the 2 years that I've been streaming almost every day, I've had my stream drop maybe 10, 20 times out of all of the over 500 days straight that I was streaming. So it's not that bad. It's pretty good. Hotshot, is it safe to say most of the crime would be petty theft or being robbed? Yeah, I would say most of the crime is petty theft here. Robbing your cell phone, maybe pickpocketing. A lot of the pickpocketing occurs downtown or on the metro, or after like 2 o'clock in the morning, coming out of some of the bars or the dance clubs out here, drunk. A lot of people get pickpocketed, but it doesn't happen it's not rampant. It's not like you're going to walk out and you're like, oh, there's people looking out to rob me. It's very opportunistic. It's, and I'm telling you, the new mayor is going to put his foot down on crime, because his style of government is very Uribista, what they call here, and he hammers on security, man. So we're going to see some change. I hope so. Yabba Dabba Doo. Hello, sir. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Yabba Dabba Doo. That's an epic name. Bro, you said there's gringos that go there short term and get one night stands from non-hookers? Are they really good looking? Bro, yes, Felix. Felix, you just got to come down here, bro. If you're a good looking white guy, you're literally, I was hanging out with my friend at the bar last night. He's from Iceland. He just bought a house here. He just bought an apartment near Provenza. He's remodeling it. Bro, this guy, he says it's a grind. It's not like, oh, you're matching with girls and going on dates eventually immediately. No, because the real girls have jobs. For example, he was telling me about his latest conquest was he matched with a nurse, and she works 7 to 7. You know, she works 12-hour shifts. She lives in a lower income neighborhood. She helps her family out. She's young. She has no kids, but she has to help her family, etc. So going on a date with her was hard. He said that they were talking for almost a month until he actually went out on a date, and it was for Halloween, a costume party, and they hit it off. And now he's like seriously considering dating her. But he's here for the right reasons. He wants to find a partner. He wants to find a life here. He doesn't want to just have one night stands and do, you know, prostitutes and all that. So I think it also comes with intention. I think people can read that, especially real people. It's not about, you know, if you're coming down here to be a dog, then most people will be able to read that, and you'll be hooking up with people that will either charge you for that service or that are also on that same wavelength. So you just gotta check it out yourself. T-Mac, you got the 2-year visa. Yeah, I've heard that they advertise 2-year digital nomad visas, but they only are giving 1 year because they want that money fast. To renew the visa, you gotta pay money again. So it's like a business for them. But that's great. Congrats. Andrew Corbin, do those digital nomads offer coding classes to the locals? That would be great. Enjoy Colombia, but give back. Yes, Andrew, that's a huge statement right there. I love that, man. So we've got a partnership at Help Colombia. We have a partnership with Recode Colombia, which is another nonprofit organization by my friend Steve, and it's a collaboration between us where we help. Where the Recode Colombia helps teach teenagers and young adults how to program out of the poor neighborhoods. So they literally bus them from their poor neighborhood, their Strato 2 neighborhood, like in Moravia or Manrique or wherever they're at, and bus them over here to an office in El Poblado where they teach them programming. It's called Recode Colombia. You can hit us up at Help Colombia. Just Google Help Colombia now, or on Instagram, Help Colombia. If you ever want to volunteer, you can. We do get a lot of volunteers. We also do English classes, and we're not the only charity out there or nonprofit organization that's doing this. There are various nonprofits. So yeah, there is that here happening a lot. My lunch break's almost over. I appreciate the chat. Would love to drop my email if you came across a Bogota connection. Have a great day. Yeah, just send me an email. You can find my email address pretty easily on my YouTube channel. Andrew, one of our mates does coding classes. Yeah, which one? Yabba Dabba Doo. Do you ever offer Airbnb management services? Yes, Yabba Dabba Doo. Send me an email. It's what's my email? It's a new email that I created for this channel. Hold on, I'll drop my email. If you want to send me an email, you can. For Airbnb management, for sure. I do that for a couple other friends, and we're creating a business out of it. It's MedellinBuzzAndrew@gmail.com. Guys, by the way, check out the pinned comment if you are considering a move to Medellin. Me and AK spent hours. Well, first of all, we spent 200 hours on creating the Medellin Masterclass, and now it's live. So you can go to MedellinMasterclass.com, or you can click on the link in the pinned comment or in the description below. You can click on the link in the description below to the Medellin Masterclass checklist, which is a free checklist. Over 20 different things that you should do before you actually make the move to Medellin, and it's completely free. You can download it. Just click on the link and go get it. It's free, so you might as well check it out. We put a lot of thought and effort into it. It's not just like pack your clothes, pack for warm weather, although that is one of them, but it goes a lot more in depth than that. Yeah, the kids are loving it and getting really good. Yeah, programming. Yeah, they're doing websites and stuff. It's pretty amazing what they're doing. That's really great exposure for those kids. Skills like that could break the generational poverty. Yes, and that's the whole point of Recode Colombia or Recode Colombia and Help Colombia is to not only give to them because a lot of these families do need things like a bed, a roof being fixed, food, a month, monthly, education, but something that can actually pivot that poverty line, right? Or move the needle a little bit so that, in 10, 20 years from now, when that kid is 20, or even 30, he can actually provide for his family and move more people out of the poverty that they're in. T-Mac, I hired a local attorney and applied online. I live part-time in Los Angeles. Oh, okay. So you did it abroad to get the digital nomad, or when you were here? Yabba dabba do. Will do. Would love to buy you and AK a beer in my next trip and discuss. AK doesn't drink, but you could buy me 2 beers. T-Mac, I applied as a business owner. Oh, okay. I see. Michael Schur, what's good? How you doing, Mr. Michael Schur? Hope you're having a great day. Hola, best green neighborhood in Envigado. Green neighborhood? What do you mean? Like eco-friendly neighborhood? Or you're surrounded by a lot of nature in Envigado. I love Envigado, and you're like minutes away from El Salado, which is like almost like a natural reserve in Medellin, or I guess in the vicinity, because it's not Medellin, it's its own area. But that area is great for hiking, going to the little waterfall that they have there. You can even go swimming at times, etc. It's great. I love Envigado. I've been telling my parents that if they want to retire, because my parents want to retire, and they're talking about a finca, like a house in the country somewhere. I'm like, well, you can have best of both worlds and living like on the edge of Envigado, either in an apartment or in a house in Envigado, and you're surrounded by nature. So they just got to come down here and check it out. I can't make those decisions for them. AK says, if you apply from outside Colombia, you can get the 2-year digital nomad visa. Oh, so it's different for people that apply outside. That's interesting. Hotshot U, is it my understanding combat vets are being denied the pension visa? I don't know that they're being denied, but I have heard that the application process has changed and it's a little bit more difficult now. That's what I've heard from other people that are pensioned. I don't know the exact details of that. But yeah, definitely contact us either through the MedellinMasterclass.com or hit up our lawyers, which are the guys that we always refer to, which is Nexo Legal, Nexo Legal. Christian says, is Laureles compatible to Pereira? Is Laureles comparable to Pereira? Having a hard time deciding what city would be best for me. Christian, it just depends on your personality, man. Pereira is a smaller city. There's only about 1 million people in Pereira, and it shows. You can definitely see that it's a smaller city, so your weekends there, especially if you like to go out and have dinner at nice restaurants and stuff, your options are going to be limited. I've been to Pereira and I love it because it's like a mini Medellin, but when I say mini, I mean mini. It's like you're not going to have a lot of variety there. I can do everything that there is to do in Pereira in a week. On a good weekend, I could probably go to all the restaurants and stuff and do everything that you really want to do in Pereira. So it really depends on your type of, what you consider good life for you, right? If you like the slower paced, smaller city, almost like a small town feel, Pereira might be a great option for you. But I like the bigger cities. Like I loved living in Bogota. The only thing that I hated about Bogota was the weather. If Bogota was like Medellin weather, I would be living in Bogota because it's a bigger city, more options, more things to do, more possibility for business, more networking, more options for restaurants, more options for going out at night, etc. It's a bigger city, tons of neighborhoods, but I hate the weather, and I wouldn't live there because of that. So it just depends on what you're looking for. ABX Girl says, what's the best island off Cartagena? Planning to take a day or one night trip a night trip. A day or one night trip from Medellin to Latam or Avianca. Flights are very inexpensive. For last minute to Cartagena. I've been to the islands. I don't know the names of them. You just rent a little mini yacht with your friends and go like island hopping. But I don't think you could. They're so small that you can't. I didn't see any like actual places to stay there. I've been to San Andres, and San Andres is super awesome. You should definitely consider if you haven't gone to San Andres, for sure. Uh, AK says veterans need to pass more stringent mental testing. Oh, like mental health testing, I believe, before getting a pensioner visa. Okay, I did not know that. Tyler, for a decent apartment, how much is it starting? A starting fee going to cost me, talking like 6K to 10K US. Wait, a decent apartment, how much is it? For a decent apartment, if you're going the local route in El Poblado, you can get a really nice apartment for $800 a month. If you're going the furnished route where you don't have a local ID, you don't have local credit, you don't have a local co-signer that can co-sign for you for your rental agreement for an unfurnished apartment, and you have to rent furnished because you're short term, you're talking about $2,000 a month for that same $800 apartment, but that's been furnished and remodeled. Yeah, I know because that's what mine are. For example, in my buildings where I have my Airbnbs go for $2,000 to $2,500 a month for short-term people that are here and I only do monthlies that are here for a couple months. But in that same building, the people that rent there, it's about $800. $800, yeah, about $800 rent locally. But those are not remodeled. Those are buildings that have been up for 30 years, 20 years, and the apartment has never really been remodeled. Maybe some things have been changed or updated, but not much. That's the vast difference between Airbnb and renting the local route. Yeah, so that's the explanation there. Sarin, what's up, Sarin? How you doing? Hotshot says, AK, can you be as simple as a letter from your doctor? Oh, yeah, you got to figure that out there. Sam says, worth nothing that the digital nomad visa doesn't count towards residency numbers. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't, but it's a good way to get into the country and maybe experience it for a year before you make the decision that, okay, this is where I want to be long term, to actually make a move here and make this your home. Hey, let's go. Andrew Corbin with the $5 dono. Thank you so much, Andrew. Andrew Corbin says, thank you for hosting these Medellin discussions and highlighting issues other than mongering. Medellin is beautiful. Mongering is ruined all the time. Well, mongering is what gets all the clicks and the views. I could have maybe 200 people watching me right now if I was out in the street talking to women. But that's not my target audience. I want people that want to come down here, make Medellin their home, and contribute to the society, to the country in a positive manner. And that's why we created the Medellin Masterclass. The Medellin Masterclass is not for everyone. Not everybody can afford to take a masterclass to learn how to move to Medellin for $1,400. But those that can are people that are business owners, entrepreneurs, maybe retirees, early retirees, doctors. I'm telling you the type of people that have already taken the course. We have doctors. We have real estate brokers with their own brokerage firm. We've got entrepreneurs that do digital marketing. We've got business coaches. One of our students is a CEO coach. From abroad. He's not even from the United States. He's from Australia, but has lived in different countries. So these are the type of people that we're attracting. I don't really care about the monger. And if that person is a monger, keep it to yourself. What you do behind closed doors is not my problem or my business. So I appreciate the donation and the beautiful comment. Thank you. ABX Girl says, yes, we will stay in Cartagena and sail to the island for the day. Okay, yeah, so you can do that, but I don't know if you can stay overnight in some of those islands. That's the question. Talking about buying and then turning it into an Airbnb when I'm not there. Oh, you're thinking about that? Yeah, Tyler, that's a good idea. You just have to do some of the legwork to find the good deals right now, because prices on apartments have been going up, and they're going to continue to go up. A lot of people are saying, oh, Medellin is becoming a bubble, and most people don't know what real estate is, first of all, or even own real estate to even make that notion. They just think that, oh, since prices are going up, that eventually they're going to crash. The only way that I could see that happening is if Colombia has a civil war and everybody's leaving, or it suddenly turns communist. But so that's not happening. It's only going the other way, which is up. More people are coming down here. The city will get safer. Unemployment rate has gone down. Almost 10% per year since the pandemic, almost. No, sorry. Since the pandemic unemployment rate was at 15%. Now, nationally, it's about 10%. Medellin is at 9% unemployment rate. So year after year, it's been going down about a percent, almost a percent. Yeah, about a percent. Countrywide and in Medellin, it's gone down even more than the national average. So the statistics show that Medellin will get safer. That's my hope, and the statistics are showing that homicide rate has lowered, and the crime rate has lowered since COVID, since we were all locked down and then it was open. So things have gone safer, and also the police have implemented more ways for you to report. You can report using an app of a crime, where before, when I got here 10 years ago, the crime rate was probably even higher, but there was less people reporting because the only way you could do that was by going into a police station and reporting a crime. Now you can do it through an app, through their website, so it's easier to report. So and now they have cameras on a lot of the streets and stuff. So there is stuff happening. It's not nearly what the U.S. or some of the other first world countries are, or developed nations, but it's getting better slowly and slowly. So that is going to attract more tourism. And those tourists, some of those tourists will become immigrants and wanting to reside in Colombia, want to buy property. It's happening already. So properties in these desirable neighborhoods are the ones that are going up first. In El Poblado, property value is going up. In Laureles, in some pockets of Laureles, property value is going up. And eventually, once those get bought out and property value gets too expensive, for example, from a digital nomad that decides that they want to live here and they can't afford El Poblado, they'll go to Laureles. And once Laureles is bought out, they'll go to Floresta. That's bought out, they'll go to Belén. Once that's bought out, they'll go to other areas in the city. And prices will adjust, I believe, but there's still going to be accrued, property value increases every single year, I think. That's my take on that. Hotshot says, oh, so you're talking to AK there. Felix, you guys say foreigners going for girls is bad? I never said that. I don't care if guys come here for girls. I think that's great. I think that's one of the things that Colombia is known for. Colombia is known for having beautiful women, and it's not in the bad sense where it's like, oh, they're easy and they're all prostitutes. No, they've won multiple Miss Universe contests. We have multiple Grammy Award winning female artists in the world representing Colombia and the beauty of the Colombian woman. So a lot of foreigners do come down here as one of the motives to meet women here and to see what the culture is like, what the dating scene is like. But a lot of those people come down here and realize that it's amazing. They'll find a wife or they'll find a girlfriend and either go back to their country or actually form a life here. Because before they would just go back to their country. Back when I first got here in 2010, a lot of people they would get a wife here and then they would do everything and anything to try to get them back to their country because it's safer, more opportunity, more work. But now in the digital age, you can actually live here. It's safer than it was, 13 years ago. And you can work remote, make dollars, spend pesos, save money, buy a property, raise a kid here. They've got great schools for kids. Universities are good here. People can learn English here and go do university in another country if you want, have them learn abroad. So more people are doing that now. So yeah, coming here for girls and being that your main motive is not a bad thing. It's what you're doing down here that can become bad, not only for the image of Colombia, and Colombia does that alone. I mean, Colombian superstars, soccer superstars, parents getting abducted. That's horrible for the Colombian image, but it happens here, and it has to be something that has to be addressed by the local government, by the government here. But if guys are coming down here and that's all their sole purpose is just to hook up with hookers and try to find that, you're going to get robbed at some point or drugged, especially if you're an idiot. Rel says a Salesforce admin looking to make a move in May 24th. And you and AK are a major reason for it. Thanks for all you guys do. Thank you so much, Rel. I appreciate that. Salesforce admin. One of my best friends is Salesforce certified. He has an agency here, and they are Salesforce. what do they call those? The people that are certified that Salesforce, like if they have like someone that purchases Salesforce and then they need someone to work for them, they'll refer these people to them. That's what they are, and they make a killing. The ABX girl, will the new elections be a positive thing? May think so, and I do as well. Many think so. Yes, I absolutely think that the new mayor will provide positive changes because he's been the mayor before, and when he was the mayor, he made some really good changes, and he won by a landslide because he was not only better than all of the other candidates and the previous mayor who was running for re-election, but people realized that, yeah, this guy, when he says that he's going to do something, he makes it happen. And one of his motives is, or one of the things that he's been talking about is obviously crime, hitting crime really hard, making the city safer for not only locals but also foreigners coming here. And I believe he will, because he did when he was in office. And his style of government is that type of government where they hit hard on security, economics, etc. So I hope it will. Christopher, what's up? Christopher Garcia, ¿cómo estás? Got here on the 1st of October to La Setenta. So far, so good. Thanks. Yeah, La Setenta is a great area. I love that area because it's more Colombian. You will see more tourists nowadays. Before, there were only Colombian tourists, but now you see more foreigners out there. But it's still a great local neighborhood. Those little side streets are really cool. The little corner bars, etc. I love that area. And also they have an American sports bar now that's called the Medellin Sports Bar. It's a great place to go watch games. David Ockert says, I am just waiting for my veterans disability to move down here. Yeah, that's a good choice. I think I think a lot of people do that, and I see and I meet a lot of them that do that here because their money goes a longer way here. Okay, so let's get to the number two thing that you should know about Medellin. And we touched on it already, but the number two thing you should know, or the number two thing that you will realize about Medellin and living in Medellin after living here long term is that poverty is a real thing here. The poverty rate in Colombia as a whole is almost at 40%. In Medellin, it's at about 30%. That means that 3 out of the 10 people that you see out in the street are living on less than $250 a month. So that's why when we talk about crime, when we talk about even homelessness or people out on the street asking or hustling or trying to get money out of, let's say, a foreigner that's just walking up and down the street, and then they get annoyed, like, man, I can't get away from this. It's because Colombia has a poverty rate problem, and most people are struggling. So when you come down here, you have to be sensitive to that, or you become sensitive to that. You become sensitive to that to a certain degree, meaning that you understand that this is why crime is happening, is because people are poor and they want a quick way. Some people want a quick way to make money, and obviously robbing and stealing could be a way to get an easy come up. But on top of that, there's a reason why there's the papaya guy, the guy on the street corner pulling his cart, selling fruit, selling cell phone accessories, blaring with a microphone, the guy driving around in the car trying to get your broken washing machine so that he can go repair it and resell it. That's why you see all this here, because there is an economic problem in Colombia. It's getting better little by little. Unemployment rate has dropped down since COVID, where it was at 15%. Now it's at about 9% here in Medellin. So it is better, but there's a lot of undocumented unemployment that goes on here, because not everybody is part of the census that they do here, especially all of the Venezuelans that have come down here. A lot of those people are either here working and hustling for cash because they don't have their work permit yet, although Colombia does provide a work permit for them, but there is a process for them to get that. So a lot of them are, let's say, uneducated or less educated, so they can't hold higher level jobs. So they have to have lower level jobs where they get paid in cash. They're not part of this census. So unemployment is probably higher than just 9% in Medellin. So when people come down here and they see homelessness, even in El Poblado, you'll see like the homeless guy or the guy that's collecting cans, eating out of the trash can, the indigenous people begging for money. You're not going to get away from that. you're not going to, and we'll probably not see that change in our lifetime. I probably have another good 30 to 40 years of life here, and I probably won't see that change drastically in that time, because it's always been a problem here in Colombia. It's gotten a little bit better, but it's always going to be a problem because the government is corrupt, because people here are raised to be corrupt, to fear the government, to fear police, to know that police are just going to ask you for a bribe, to know that the government, when they get elected, they're going to be taking money from you. And the system is flawed in that culturally people know that this is going to happen and accept it. And it's a terrible thing, but it does get better little by little. But when you come down here and live here, after the honeymoon is over, after your first few months, and you realize that, shit, people are trying to get over on me, not because they're evil, but because they're struggling, because they need to feed a family, because they don't have opportunities like we do in other countries or developed nations. That's why people here still go to Mexico, cross the border, or try to cross the border, risk their lives and their freedom to get into the United States. Not because Colombia is this evil nation. It's because there's less opportunity. People are struggling out here. So when you come down here, you'll realize that, and you'll do one of two things. Either leave because you get tired of it and you're like, dang, I can't do anything about it. And it's not that you're mad, but some people just get frustrated that they can't do anything to help people because there's mass poverty, not only in Medellin, but in all of the country. And you can't really do anything about it. Or you could do the other route where a lot of people help. A lot of people become part of charities, volunteer work. They'll do fundraising events online, etc. And you'll see those people, even like the old retiree. We get so many volunteers of that age group into Help Colombia for the English classes, for coding classes, for other volunteer opportunities at the orphanages that we have, because they do want to give back. And those are the type of people that are awesome. But a lot of the times people do leave because it's just like there's not much you can do. Christopher says, yeah, stopped by Medellin Sports Bar last night, but a little expensive. Yeah, it's a Medellin Sports Bar. It's a Gringo Sports Bar. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's owned by two brothers. G. Nolan says, cars are quite expensive, yet there must be million cars on the road. Don't despair. There's a strong middle class and poor will say. Yeah, but the middle class, what you would consider middle class here is poor in the United States. The middle class here is not middle class of United States. It's a middle class of a developing nation. So they're still living month to month. Even in the middle class, most middle class people, I would venture to say that most middle class people here are living month to month. They don't have much savings. If they do have a car, it's on a loan and they're paying month to month. And if they do have a home, they're renting. They're not buying their home. So yeah, it's different. So people do try to have side hustles. That's why there's so many Ubers here. Uber's great here and I use Uber Comfort. I can't tell you how many times I've had either a Mercedes or an Audi come and pick me up with Uber Comfort. It hasn't been a ton of times. It's been at least 5 times. But that's a lot of times, considering that those are Mercedes and Audis in a developing country, where you would think that if you own that, you probably don't need to be doing Uber as a side hustle, but they have happened. Oscar, thanks so much for the $10 dono. Oscar says, you said your brother lives in Barranquilla. I may be moving there next summer. I live in LA now. Would you still be a consultant about moving to Colombia in general? Yeah. Check out the MedellinMasterclass.com. If you want a consultation before that, let's say you don't know which one to get. We've got 3 levels of the Medellin Masterclass. We have the Essentials, which is about $250. We've got the it's $500. The Essential is $500. The Medellin Masterclass as is $1,400, and then the Elite, which is over $2,000. But they all offer different things. If you don't know which one to choose and you have questions, you can book a consultation, 15 minutes with me and the AK, and we'll get on a call with you and let you know and steer you into the right direction, which one is suited for you, especially if you're moving to another city and not in Medellin. we can definitely have that consultation for you. The thing about Barranquilla that I love is that it's an um, it's less touristy than Medellin, obviously, and Cartagena, but I think it can be the next tourist destination because they are working on infrastructure. They are working on their own economic system there. And my brother says that he loves living there, and he lived in Medellin for like 7 years with his wife, and now they live down there, and he says he loves it. He says it's way hotter, but they've got air conditioning in every room. The place that they're staying at is awesome, and the neighborhood is great. So, and they're 20 minutes from a nice beach, which is Puerto Colombia. So I'm considering buying an apartment there and putting it on Airbnb. But I gotta go. I'm gonna go in February. Wait, when are you going? Oh, next summer. So I'm going to be going in February for Cartagena for Carnaval. I'll be going in February for and I'm going to stay for 2 weeks, and I'm going to check out the real estate market there and see if it's viable for Airbnb rentals. Um, Rel says, yeah, that's your long-term plan. Okay, Andrew Corbin. Now you don't. Now you know why some of these Spanish conquistadors never left. David says, I'm just waiting for my vet. Okay, I read that one already. David says, I live in Denver, Colorado, and there's a lot of homelessness and poverty here also. I also haven't had some try to pull a gun on me in Medellin. Yeah, you'll find homelessness, and it's a different homelessness here. At least in the United States, if you're homeless, you do have like shelters to go to, food places to get food. You could even apply for housing sometimes in the United States. Here, there's less of that. It's very, very small compared to what you can get if you are struggling in the United States. The government will help you to a certain extent, whereas here in Colombia, it's a lot harder if you're struggling. It's like you have to come up. And that's what I love about the Paisas and the Paisa culture is that they come up, they work, for the most part, I would say you have crime and you have people that do steal and stuff, but that's a small percentage. The majority of Paisas and people here in this city and in this region want to work, and they want to come up, and they want to hustle, and they want to own a business, and it's really cool to see that. And that's why I think I am Paisa, even though I was born in Bogota and raised in the United States. I lived in Bogota for 6 months of my life. Compared to Medellin, I've been here 13 years. I consider myself culturally more akin to the people of Medellin because I am a hustler. I am an entrepreneur. I am active. I do love to help other people, and I feel that that's what the Paisa culture is. The ABX girl says, it feels worse in the U.S., and American seniors are leaving for Colombia for fear of poverty. Yeah, it does suck, man. When you get older, and imagine if it's bad for seniors in the United States, imagine how bad it is here. Like the pension system here, you're not getting that much money. So older people, that's why here culturally, people stay with their families longer. Like, for example, if you're a young person, you could be living with your family until you're 30. Sometimes you have kids and you still live with your family not because you don't want to be independent, but because they need your help. Because the government's not going to take care of them. You have to help take care of your aging parents, and that's the way it is. And that's why the family culture is a lot more united here than in the United States, because in the United States, once you get independent and you're 20, or even 30 now because things got more expensive, you're expected to leave the home and leave your parents, and your parents will go to an old folks home or whatever. You're never going to take care of you're never going to change your parents' diaper. It's very, very rare that you hear that. Here in Colombia, that's normal. That's like, if you don't take care of your parents, you're considered a bad person. All right, so let's see. What else? Andrew Corbett says, Andrew, have you ever thought about getting involved in politics down there? Would it create an opportunity for you? I've thought about it. I have a couple friends that are in politics, but I would never do it. I don't know. It's just not for me. I guess I would never say never because I'm still only 42. You could get into politics way later in your life. But for me, for what I'm doing now, I like what I do now. The businesses that I have here, the Airbnb business, I love. my main focus right now is to provide for my parents who are retirement age now, and I want to get them their finca that they want. So I'm going to be buying that in the next couple of years, having them retire out here, having a car, maybe raising a family of my own, and doing that, being more family centric. And I do love to travel, so I'll be traveling a lot. I need to discover the rest of the world. So yeah, I've got those type of plans. So politics is not really in the agenda right now. Uh, David says, I'm looking forward to not having to own a car anymore. I was just down there and I was putting on around 6 miles a day just walking around. Yeah, in 13 years, I've never owned a car here. I have a friend that lets me borrow his car, but I never even use it. He parks it down here in my parking spot, and he leaves me the keys sometimes, and I never use it. I don't need to. I walk everywhere, or I take an Uber if it's long distance. Yeah, it's not necessary. Oscar says, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Love the channel. Thank you so much, Oscar. Appreciate it. Thank you for the dono again. Chef Henry, what's up, Chef Henry? I returned from Medellin a couple of days ago. This was my 25th time there. I'm ready to move there, but I haven't been able to earn money online, which is really stressful. Bro, that's a common problem for a lot of people that come down here for short term or just vacation, and then they got to go work. Excuse me. It's a big problem. A lot of people want to come down and live here, even just part-time, but they got to work from the U.S. So my question to you is, what are you doing about it? Are you taking courses to increase your skills so that you can get a job online? Are you actively looking for freelance opportunities if you can, or have a skill that can be monetized online? The biggest thing that can be monetized and that there is a demand for is programming, whether it's back-end or front-end programming, database programming, etc. Now with AI, there's a big opportunity to learn this new skill, which is how to automate prompts, how to create prompts for AI, and how to make them useful for other people and for businesses. My thing that one of my mentors taught me when I was younger, when I was struggling, when I had just gotten out of prison when I was 24 years old, I had a great mentor, and he said, find the problems of the rich. Find out what the rich have problems in. Like, find their problems and learn how to resolve them, and they will pay you handsomely for it, because the rich value their time over money. So they will pay you if you can find a shortcut to relieve their problems. And that's what I've done with my digital marketing agency. You could do digital marketing for anybody in the world, but I've niched it to drug and alcohol rehab centers because I know it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there was a gap in the industry for digital marketing, 8 years ago, and that's the niche that I kind of fell into and then have attacked ever since, because I know those people have a lot of money, and their biggest pain point is that they spent $100,000 a month on AdWords, and if I can help them resolve that by getting them organic leads, they will pay me handsomely. And that's what's happened, and it continues to happen, and life is amazing because of it, but it was a grind 8 years ago. Victor says, did you stay in Brazil in the past? I have not been to Brazil, bro. I need to go. I'm not sure if I'm going to go next year, but I'm thinking about it. I know a lot of people. I have a friend, Mike, that has a house down there, and he's telling me to go. And so I'm probably going to go next year. I don't know if I'm going, but I definitely want to go. If yes, how would you compare Medellin to Rio or Sao Paulo for remote-based life? I don't know yet, but I will be updating when I go down there. I will be vlogging from there. Andrew Corbin, you can talk, you're personable, and you have a vision. True, yeah. Andrew for mayor 2027. What do you think about Bogota? I love Bogota. Like I said before, I would live in Bogota if they didn't have shitty weather. The only reason I don't live in Bogota is because I don't like the weather there. I lived there for 6 months, and I couldn't stand. I'm from Southern California. I love warm weather. I don't like dressing in layers. Literally, a lot of people say here, don't dress like a foreigner. Shit, I've been living here for 13 years, and I wear shorts almost every other day. I don't wear like the sports shorts and like the big fat sneakers, New Balance sneakers, or like the tourist outfit, but I'll wear like khaki shorts, sometimes like a button-down shirt or this shirt, these type of shirts. Usually wear t-shirts, like black t-shirts with nice shorts, nice shoes, ankle socks, And because it's hot here. What the hell? I don't care what the Pisces are doing. If all the Pisces are wearing pants, good for them. They don't feel hot in pants. I wear shorts. I've never gotten any flack for it. But the fact of the matter is that Bogota is colder. I love living in Medellin because of the weather, the people, the city, and the network of people that I have here. My friends here, my social circle is just awesome. The people that are attracted to Medellin, there are a couple of different ones. You've got the tourists that come just to visit for a week or two. You've got the sex mongers that come here and will keep returning and mongering for sex. And then you've got, which is also small. It's a small percentage of the people that come down here. And then the people that I know, which are the people that come down here to do business, to network, to buy a property, to put it on Airbnb or just live in it, to actually help in the community and stuff like that. So those are my friends, and it's an awesome community. Andrew Corbin says, oh wait, I already read that. Besides the common things people say, like climate. Oh yeah. So yeah, the thing that I didn't like about Bogota was the climate. What I do like about Bogota is that it's a big city. So you have a lot more options for things to do, like restaurants to eat, high-end hotels, like the Hilton, the Marriott. I used to love going to the buffet. I was living in Bogota for 6 months, and I would go to the buffet at the Hilton because the breakfast buffet is so good there. The coffee was great. I would go to the nice restaurants. There's nicer restaurants there. There's definitely more money there. There's more opportunity if you're trying to do business in that city. Obviously, crime rate's higher because it's a bigger city and they have poorer neighborhoods as well in the vicinity. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things about Bogota, and there's also a lot of bad things. But it just depends on your taste. Luke says, I just spent 2 weeks in Medellin. I came to celebrate my 50th birthday. Happy birthday, by the way. And Medellin was exactly the special thing I was looking for. Will definitely return and buy an apartment. Yeah, Luke. A lot of people have that experience. We get a lot of them coming to the Medellin Masterclass and taking the Masterclass and then becoming part of our network. Right now, a couple of them are looking for apartments, and I'm helping them through my contacts. Medellin will only get hotter in time. Yeah, I don't know. It's been pretty much the same for me year after year. Rio is 30% more expensive than Medellin. I was there December 2022. AK says, and 100% hotter. Oh, so it's hotter there. Dang. I don't mind the heat, though. I paid $350 a room in someone's house for a week. Holy cow. I'm waiting to retire from the Army next year to move to Laureles. I bought an apartment 7 years ago. Oh, my gosh. You're living in the sun, Jose. Yeah, come down. You should be renting that out. If you're not here, you probably are. Okay, so finally, the number one thing that you will realize once you live in Medellin long term is that you are not going to be happier. I'll say that again. After living here 13 years and meeting so many people that have lived and come down here and lived or left after being here long term or stayed after long term, I've come to the realization that Medellin will not make you happy. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you are miserable where you are right now and you're not happy, and you think that by changing your scenery, changing the city, changing your environment, you are going to be happier, that is not true. You might be happier for a few months, maybe even for a year, but once that honeymoon is over, those demons will come back, and they'll probably be even greater when you're here because you're going to be isolated. You're not going to be part of a social network or a social circle. You're not going to have friends and family around you that you've had all your life. So you're going to vent. And you see those people venting all of the time in the gringo groups as trolls, trolling their own city that they live in. And you wonder, why are these people not happy? Well, it's because they're never happy. So my suggestion to you, if you don't feel happy where you are right now, find a way to be happy. Find the things you love to do in the city you are in. Don't expect to move to another place and magically everything will be happier. Your life will be better. It might be for a little bit. But if you're not a happy person, whether you are in your city or in Medellin, you're not going to be happy here long term. And that's evident, and you will see it all the time, especially in the Facebook groups. You see these people that are miserable, and you realize that These people will never be happy anywhere they go. Medellin is a paradise if you have the money to live here, if you've got foreign income. But if you're not a happy person, if you don't have mental health stability, you are not going to be happy long term, and you'll end up leaving, or you'll end up bitter here just as you are where you are. So work on yourself. Spend time doing exercise. Spend time making friends, doing the things you love, finding hobbies, finding new things to learn. That's what I've done here in Medellin, living here. So my story is that I was deported from the United States. I was happy in the United States. I didn't want to leave. I wasn't escaping anything. I loved living in Southern California. I loved working for the attorney and mentor that I had at the time at 28 years old. I was surfing in the afternoons or sometimes very early morning, go to work, come back home, go to my local bar, watch baseball games with my friends, do all the things that American people do in Southern California. I loved that life. My life drastically changed, and my scenery and environment changed, and I had no money and no friends and no network here. But I was a happy person, and I had a positive outlook on life already. So I developed this amazing life that I have here because I've always been happy. Anywhere that I go, I was in prison for 2 years when I was 22 years old, and I was happy in there. So I can guarantee you that no matter what happens to me, I will always have a positive outlook, and I will always be happy. And I suggest that if you're not happy, find a way to be happy. And I continue to do that here. And that's the beautiful thing about living in Medellin, is that since my money goes farther here, I have a personal therapist. I do have BetterHelp. I don't know if you've ever heard of BetterHelp.com, but it's an online app where you can talk to somebody, where you can realize, like, wait, why am I doing this? Why don't I've been here for 13 years. Why haven't I had a long-term relationship or a long-term girlfriend? Why am I not married? What is it? Is it just because I don't want to, or is it something deeper rooted? Like, these type of things I work on all of the time, and it's because I want the most out of my experience on this earth in this physical form that we're in, because the journey, I believe, won't stop here, but I want to learn as much and experience as much as possible. So that's the number one thing to know about living long-term in Medellin, that it will not make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. Victor says, I am from Berlin. I think any other city would be better than this shithole. Oh my God. How is Berlin a shithole? Berlin is a beautiful, I've never been there, but I have a friend that lives there. He's Colombian, and he loves living there. And he's Colombian. He's from Medellin. He got a job working for an international coffee producer and exporter. And he lives and works with his with his German girlfriend, who he met here. She was on vacation here, and he met her here. They fell in love, and now they live there. He's been living there for the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years now. And he just came back to visit. And he loves Berlin. I guess it's like different strokes for different folks, and also that the grass is greener on the other side syndrome. But I would love to go to Berlin and check it out. Luis, 100% correct. Medellin is a paradise. Yes, that's true. So yeah, that is true. Yeah, so those are the 3 major reasons that I believe that Medellin will teach you if you're here long term. Number 1 is that it's not as safe as the United States, but it can be as safe as you make it, as long as you are cautious and you learn how to move out here. Number 2 is that poverty rate is high here, and you're not going to get away from it. And you could do one of 2 things: either ignore it or go away, or actually help. And then number 1 is that Medellin itself will not make you happy. You got to make yourself happy and make the most out of your experience out here. Yeah, AK says, what an interesting number 1. Didn't see that coming. Great point. Yeah, it is a great point. I thought about this all week. So every week on Friday, I'm going to do a live just like this, where I'm going to talk about a certain topic. And all week I'm thinking and writing down my notes for this. I have them right here on Notion. That transcend just the points and thoughts and, I guess, discussion that transcends just the surface of what people think and know about Medellin. Everybody knows that the women are beautiful here. Everyone knows that the weather is great here. Everyone knows that the cost of living is great here, but not everybody knows that the poverty rate is 30%, that homicide rate is like huge here, that the that the crime rate is high, that the real estate is going up, but in certain pockets. A lot of people don't know this stuff. They just know the surface stuff. But if we go into details and realize why Medellin is so alluring to people and why people decide either to stay here long term or just leave and only visit here part time, we understand, and we can not only understand why this happens, but also work to make this a better place, not only for foreigners coming in here, but importantly for the locals. And that's that's my intention with this. So that's the end of this live, guys. I really appreciate you guys being here. I love all the comments. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And again, go to the MedellinMasterclass.com/checklist. It's in the description below. It's also in the pinned comment to download your free checklist for you to move down here. It's a checklist that we've labored over for many hours, me and AK, developing this checklist of what are the important things that people need to do before they come down to Medellin to get ready for their big move. So go, it's free. Go download it. Andrew Corbin, nice. Take care. All right. Thank you. Not great tales of Medellin life. Thanks, Mr. G. Nolan. Julio M. Macia. That's my dad right there. Julio, ahorita te llamo, pa. All right. So I will talk to you guys next week, next Friday, 11 a.m. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.